On this episode of the Ultimate Browns, we got a special episode for you. Me, Earl the Pearl, Quincy Carrier, we rank every single quarterback in a tier listing for the Cleveland Browns. So that's your favorites: Deshaun Watson, Tim Couch, Baker Mayfield, even Colt McCoy. Where do these guys pan out, and where do we have them on the tier listing? You are going to want to watch this. Make sure you check it out, and we'll be back right here on this episode of Ultimate Browns. Welcome on into the fastest 30 minutes in all of sports. It's your boy G Bush. Thank you guys so much for checking out Ultimate Browns. We got a special show for you. We recorded this about a week or so ago. My man Quincy Carrier on his channel, The Worst Takes from Quincy Carrier, big Browns blogger. He's on here all the time. We had a little bit of a cool little show. He decided to do a tier listing of all of the quarterbacks since 1999. Now, it isn't every single quarterback in this tier listing, but some of your favorites, some of the big name guys are on there as well. So you're going to take a look at this. And we also had Earl the Pearl, the Ultimate 216. Make sure you guys are checking Earl the Pearl out. He's doing his things right now. He has a new co-host, former NFL wide receiver Cecil Short of the Mount Union Purple Raiders, Jacksonville Jaguars, Houston Texans. He is now a co-host of the Ultimate 216. So the Ultimate shows are getting bigger and better every single day, man. We just keep adding to the most powerful roster in all of sports fandom in Cleveland. So we'll check that. Make sure you check that out. But me, Q, and Earl got together, and we did this tier listing. It was a really fun blog. Want to share that with you guys. Coming up in the video, we're going to let you know where Deshaun Watson ends up and where Baker Mayfield ends up. So without further ado, let's get into this video. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. And thank you for appreciating and watching Ultimate Browns.
We talked about quarterbacks the last time we met, fellas. Let's talk about ranking these quarterbacks. I got a tier list that we going to do for these quarterbacks. I'm going to go ahead and bring that thing. My criteria for this list is a little bit more specific, right? Because I didn't want to rank every single Browns quarterback, and obviously you don't see every single Browns quarterback down there. I picked quarterbacks from 1999 who have started 12 games or more.
Okay.
Right? I don't want to just throw in Thad Lewis, right? And these random guys who got some spot starts here and there. I want to talk about actual quarterbacks who played for the Browns. I have these stats for all of these quarterbacks during this time. We're going to start with Timothy Couch, 59 starts, 22 wins, 37 losses, 64 touchdowns, 67 interceptions, and had a touchdown percentage of 3.7%, interception percentage of 3.9%, averaged about 3,052 yards per season with a 38.2% success rate.
Ooh. So this, first of all, y'all hit that like button because I ain't seen nobody really do this yet. So this should be pretty fun. I ain't really seen nobody do a tier list like that. I would steal it, but it takes too much work to bring up the tier list and all that other stuff. I can't do that, man. I'm gonna go with Tim Couch. There's a little bit of revisionist history, a little bit. At the time when Tim Couch came out, it was perceived that a lot of people thought Tim Couch was going to be a bust coming out of Kentucky. It was like the first time people was throwing the spread, right? Hal Mummy was back then. He was one of the dudes that when you play NCAA football, like he was like a 90-something. You're like, who is this quarterback number one for playing for or number, but here's the thing. He had this guy named Yeast, which was a receiver, and their offense was they was running 5 wide. We never seen it. And then he got here, did not have a line, did not have no receivers. They couldn't block. They didn't really have much of a running game. But I think if Tim Couch wouldn't have gotten hurt and he would have had didn't have an expansion line, I think that he could have been a starter in the league.
I vote to put him in normal bad. I think Tim Couch was just cheeks. Like, I feel like a lot of it has been like, hey, man, we understand he was put in a tough situation. And I agree that he was put in a tough spot. But also, like, I feel like good players persevere a little bit more than what Tim Couch did. Like, I just don't think that the perseverance was there for him to be able to make it out of there. The numbers aren't great. 38% success percentage for me. I just think he was normal bad. I've always wondered, because I was not around to have opinions about this in 99. Hey, man, how come it's not more smoke about not taking Donovan McNabb in that draft class? I have never got an answer about that. But I feel like the answer I've come up with myself is probably sufficient. But it just feels like Donovan McNabb was never an option, and nobody ever goes, man. Like, every year we don't draft the quarterback, it's like, yeah, man, we could have had this guy, and we do the torture Olympics over all of this. Like, what we do it with Josh Allen in 2018. Sometimes we do it with Lamar Jackson, but I just be looking at it, I'll be like, well, yeah, it feels like we should have took Donovan, right? Like, he was top 5.
At that time, let me just give you this. At that time, I'm going to be real about it. Like, mobile quarterback still was not a thing back then. Like, you know, you had some people, like you go back to Achilles Smith. You had Andre Ware.
Wasn't Achilles Smith second overall in that draft?
I think he was.
Achilles Smith, Randall Cunningham prior to that. But for the most part, there wasn't that many mobile quarterbacks that you was just going to be like, yeah, let me go ahead and take this dude at number 1. Not until really like Michael Vick came around, where people could utilize their legs and utilize their skill set better. And so a lot of people thought Donovan McNabb was the guy that played on fast tracks in Syracuse in the Dome. He could play no cold weather city. And could you really count on him to like sit in the offense, deliver the football, and not run around and be a scrambler? So to a lot of people, Tim Couch was a better, I would say, thrower the football in terms of how he would translate. But there was a lot of people at that time. Dante Culpepper was a name that came up a little bit after that. There was a lot of people. Steve McNair was another guy, but a lot of people did want Donovan McNabb at the time. It was just a thing where people thought it wasn't a good fit for the Browns.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
I've wondered my whole life why y'all did. Why there was not more smoke about the whole not taking Donovan McNabb stuff. And I'm like, hey, man, it feels like we should have took Donovan.
I mean, I was 12 at the time, but I can remember my dad and a lot of adults at the time was like, you know, Donovan McNabb, that should have been the dude. But I'll go normal bad for Tim. I'm kind of like with Quincy on that. Like, circumstances was what they was, but good players do persevere. And the reality of the situation is the Browns handled that situation wrong, from what I can remember and what I've been told. You know, Doug Peterson was the starting quarterback, and politics and sports say, hey, no, I want to see this young rookie quarterback I got playing. I think he had an impressive showing in the Hall of Fame game, and the rest was history. You know, Tim Couch might have got a bad draw, but he ain't do nothing to help the situation. So, and, you know, the way the fans treated him, and just I go back to that one game in particular against the Titans, man, when Javon Curse just kind of like hit him with a wrestling move, bro. Like
we I tell people all the time, we got a track record for booing people. like Tim Couch got it. I think Jed Wills got it once. Like, people, we good for doing that. I'm telling you right now, I need to get up into the Browns like PR team. Me and Earl need to be in there, because they be selling the wrong dreams about Cleveland. They be like, it's a Midwestern city, they support you, and also like, yeah, we do. But we have expectations that come with that support. It ain't just all love. Like, we gonna boo you if you sorry. Or if the refs start doing it. Like, people be looking at Cleveland, be thinking it's like Minnesota or Milwaukee or like one of the Midwest that says like, nah, dog. This is Detroit. This is Chicago. This is Philadelphia. This is basically, imagine if Philadelphia and Boston had more of a chip on their shoulder. Like, that's Cleveland. Basically. Like, we like one person. We like Joe Thomas and Nick Chubb. and Josh Cribbs. The rest of y'all,
we like dudes who go to work. That's what we like in Cleveland. Like, you put your helmet on, go to work, you gonna be a superstar in Cleveland.
Shut your mouth. Don't you wear that watch out there. And I don't want you on Twitter neither. You or your peoples.
Odell Beckham didn't work here, but you know who did? Amari Cooper. Put that hard hat on. Just get to work, right? Like, that's just what the city likes, is dudes who go to work. Even Miles dealt with it for a minute, but then Miles kind of with Miles, where people were like talking about him and like, oh, we wish we had TJ and all that. But then it kind of flipped, right? Because Miles stopped doing all the public stuff, but TJ be out there crying on Twitter about not getting the Defensive Player of the Year award. I'm like, yeah, that
people still
that is something we do.
People still will mention the helmet issue with Mason Rudolph. People still will say Myles Garrett don't be doing nothing. Like, you be like,
I mean, they turned on Myles a couple weeks ago when Myles said what he said about the crowd booing. People
turned immediately. It's like,
I mean, like you said, we burnt LeBron James jersey.
You burnt LeBron James jersey. I mean,
see, I don't think people really turned on him. I think people were upset because he had 3 sacks the next day, and everyone was like, "Yeah, we good." Like, it's never gotten that deep with Myles. I think it was like when he smacked him with the helmet, and the Baker was like, "You should have do that after the game." There was a level of like leaving him out to dry that didn't happen. That was
snitching at the highest level. Like. You see what Mike Tomlin said after that game? Oh, I ain't saying nothing. Let the league handle it.
Leave that alone.
Yeah, but it's one of them things where that's what we like here. Let's go to somebody who was beloved in Cleveland. Kelly Holcomb did play 12 starts for the Cleveland Browns, 4-8 record, but 26 touchdowns, 21 interceptions, a 5.1 touchdown percentage, 4.1 interception percentage, averaged about 3,076 yards per 17 games, 47% success rate, which I do believe is the highest of any Browns quarterback since 1999.
Man, let me tell you this. I was there for the Kelly back then. So people used to laugh at this, and I asked Kelly Holcomb this on UCSS. People used to say that there was a different playbook. The Kelly Holcomb playbook was completely different from the Tim Couch. They had teacup formations. They had trip. Now, mind you, we hadn't seen no trips or nothing. Kelly Holcomb would come in and throw for 350. They had Andre Davis, Dennis Northcutt. They had Quincy Morgan. At that time, William Green was the running back. They was doing a bunch. I'm like, man, these dudes is wide open. And Tim Couch get back into the game. Now we're gonna hand this ball off, man. Get you some of this Lee Suggs. Get you some Lee Suggs handoff with a nasty number 44. And we like, dang, bro, this is crazy, man. I listen, I like Kelly Holcomb. I would, if there was a tier between starter and normal bad.
Like he ain't good, but we like him. But I'm
going starter with Kelly, man. I gotta go starter with Kelly. Kelly was good enough to get the job done. I think a lot of things around Kelly like could have been better as well. I ain't saying he was all world, but I can remember vaguely, when he would get his chances to start, and it seemed like to me he would throw the ball well. It seemed like he had commanded on offense, and that he would actually galvanize all the players on the offensive side of the ball. Now, with that being said, the Browns have never been able to play high quality football in all 3 phases at the same time often, right? That's never really been the Cleveland Browns thing, to where you really clicking on all cylinders at the same time in the same game. And it just seemed like, especially those early 2000s, we coming off being a quote unquote expansion team, like, it just seemed like we had holes and issues throughout the roster. And even when Kelly did play well, sometimes that would be triumphant by, a horrible defensive effort or special teams blunder. Like, I can go back, and this might not be pertaining to Kelly Holcomb, but just think about, we beat the Kansas City Chiefs and Dwayne Rudd runs around with his helmet on, and we ended up losing the game. No matter what you do, it just seemed like it was always something with the Browns that resulted in us not getting a win. So
there was a playoff. I forget what his numbers was, and let me check. He had a playoff game, and they actually lost to, I believe they lost to the Steelers by 3 points, where they was up a bunch of points. And here it is. They lost to the Steelers 36 to 33. This man was 26 of 43, 429 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He only took 1 sack, quarterback rating of 107.6. What? And he did it at Pittsburgh in a snowstorm. I'm like, bro, Dennis Northcutt dropped a punt in that game. It was a snowstorm. And at
4th and 6. No, that 4th and 6, forget that punt. I don't even want to see Dennis Northcutt to this day.
Man, boy.
To this day.
This is a good time to introduce the tiers that we have, because I added one to the list here because I think Earl made a great point. All right, starting from top to bottom, we got franchise quarterback. Now, I think it's obvious that we're not going to have anybody here because the Browns have not had a franchise quarterback. Then we got starter, right?
Right.
Then below starter, we go, he not good, but he's good with me.
There you go.
Right? You know? I ain't got no problem. Like,
Right.
yeah, I see Kelly Holcomb pop up, I might watch it. Normal bad. Just like, hey, ain't nothing to you. Just don't ever want to see you play quarterback here again. Then we have every time I say his name, I get mad.
Right.
Y'all gonna find out who that is for me. I'm gonna be interested to see who that is for y'all.
Lord.
Now, when you say, go ahead. Before you
go ahead.
No, franchise. I mean, if you go back before, I mean, the closest thing is Bernie Kosar.
The only thing is Bernie Kosar.
Yeah,
Maybe you can say Brian Sight.
Based off this
since
list,
99, nobody's gonna
if we going off this list, man, ain't nobody finna be in that red.
No, actually, there's not very many starters either.
we know what it is. Okay. Made me stop watching football is the last one on this list. So we got Kelly Holcomb. We put him there. All right, let's move on to our next guy on the list, Charlie Frye. The Akron, was it the Akron? Are they the Rubber Ducks or are they the Zips? The Zips. That's it. Akron Zips. 19 starts for Charlie Frye. Went 6 of 12, 14 touchdowns, 22 interceptions. Had a touchdown percentage of 2.5%, an interception percentage of 3.9%. Averaged 2,938 yards per 17 games. Had a 41.1% success rate.
Made me stop watching football.
He was that bad for you.
And I played against him in college. I played against him.
He was a rival.
Yeah.
Well, no, y'all not in the same conference, well, same division though, right? Because they were. Well, no, is that it?
There's the MAC
It's
East.
North and South, right? Or is it East and West?
East and West.
Okay, so how? I guess, yeah. Because what? Athens is on that side of Ohio, near Kentucky, or near West.
Yeah, it might as well be West Virginia, Kentucky.
Yeah.
So
okay.
So back then, shout out to all the MAC players that. So I played against Frye. I played against Josh Cribbs as a quarterback. I played against Ben Roethlisberger, Leftwich, Bruce Gronkowski.
Now, when you were playing against them, like, did Charlie Frye feel like one of those, like he belonged up there with them?
No, he got that MAC love. He just got the MAC love. At that time, Big Ben, it was you had like guys like even Charlie Batch had came out for Eastern Michigan like a while before. So, and then after that, you had guys like there's a guy named Josh Harris who had went to the leagues from Columbus. Omar Jacobs was a dude from Bowling Green that was doing this thing. So, like the MAC quarterbacks was known, like you could do your thing in the MAC, and then they just they gave him that MAC love, and it was like, and then the Browns drafted him like in the 3rd round. I'm like, you guys are reaching. He is not nice like this, bro. And he got to end up getting in a fight on the sidelines. I think who is he arguing with? Braylon Edwards? I think him and Braylon got into it on the sidelines of the game. But yeah, Charlie Frye was not it. Like at all.
I'm gonna go every time I say his name, I get mad. That's what I'm gonna go. So like with Charlie Frye, every time I say his name, I get mad. Like just another one of those journeyman quarterbacks that the Browns promo team did a fabulous job of gassing up and selling to us to make us think he was good. The whole Charlie's Fries promo, him being from Akron, and of course, the whole Northeast Ohio thing. So we drunk the Kool-Aid, and of course, the Kool-Aid was old. It didn't have any sugar in it, and we ended up sick. So every time I say his name, I get mad.
He said that Kool-Aid had sedentary. Yeah, I agree there. I didn't stop watching football because of Charlie Frye, but I was too young to really know how ass Charlie Frye was at the time, to be fair. Like that was before 07. All right, Derek Anderson. This is an interesting one because 07, but you gotta remember 08 too, right? 31 starts as a Cleveland Browns quarterback, 13 and 14 record, of 43 touchdowns, 35 interceptions, 4.6% touchdown percentage, 3.8% interception percentage, averages about 3,397 yards per 17 games, and had a success rate of 44.2%.
Man, for a brief moment, he was a starter for a brief time. But if you look at the totality of it, he played some other places too. Like he's had some decent football.
He had a long, solid career.
Right? But to me, when you say starter, that means a guy that it's got you in contention. You know what I'm saying? For me, he's not that good, but he good with me because he did give us one of the best years we talk about all the time. 07 was a great time to be alive when he was throwing the football to Braylon Edwards and the guy who will never be mentioned again, named has been stricken for the records, Jamal Lewis, Jared Vicious, all those dudes. It's Steinbach, Mack. You had Joe Thomas. So yeah, I'm gonna go with he wasn't that good, but he good with me. He gave me some good memories.
Same here, man. I think it's we ain't gotta have too much commentary on him, man. He not that good, but he good with me. That's the first time I've seen the Browns win 10 games in the season. So
yeah,
I
believe that Brandon Weeden strictly because he wore number 3 and threw the ball far. Right? I was like, that could be like Derek Anderson,
right? just off height, stature, and look.
It was the clay pigeons for me. When I seen that ESPN Science and I seen Brandon Weeden throwing to them clay pigeons, I said, "Oh yeah, I want him."
I'm like the same age as Derek Anderson was when he came out too, right? Like Derek Anderson was 27 and 07, you know. So yeah, why not?
Why not? Right? Let's see what he do.
All right, Brady Quinn. Whew.
Every time I say that man name, I get mad. I didn't know if Brady Quinn wanted to be a quarterback or a linebacker, man.
Let me see his stats real quick. Brady Quinn had 12 starts, 3-9 record, 10 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. What a horribly low number. 2.8 touchdown percentage, 2.5 interception percentage. Get this. Average per 17 games, right? If you take out his career starting with the Cleveland Browns, he's averaging out for 17 games. 2,310 yards, a 17-game average.
Man,
and a 35.7 success percentage, which I do believe outside of one quarterback is the worst on this list.
Man, listen, he's gonna make he's the first made me stop watching football, dude. And let me tell you why. For as much as hype as this dude got, Dublin, Ohio, out of Columbus, Notre Dame, they hyped this man.
Best preseason start of all time.
Oh my gosh. They made it seem like he was like the second coming. Listen, I'm trying to squint. I'm like, first of all, listen, your number 10 looks nasty on your jersey. Second of all, you running around all the time with your hair slicked back and wet. And I don't know if you're trying to be an Abercrombie and Finch stunt double. And this guy, he just didn't do it. His skill set was, well, he don't throw the ball hard. He's not terribly accurate. He's not really mobile. He's medium sauce there. And he's to check down Charlie. He won't throw nothing over 5 to 10 yards, and he got the nerve to run his mouth like he nice. He still runs his mouth like he was great. He still be sitting around here talking about he's nice because you went to Notre Dame. Stop it, Brady Quinn. You listen. You should rightfully be. Every time I hear your name, I get mad. But I'm putting you in the other category because I just don't like you. You think you're way nicer than you are, and you got the most hype out of all of these people on this list.
What about you, Earl?
My bad. I was texting my job, man. Who are we on? My bad. My bad.
Brady Quinn. Brady Quinn.
Oh no. I already told you. It's simple for me, bro. Like I thought I was getting a quarterback, like a guy that I see him in the picture on draft day as a kid, and he wants to be a Brown. He went to Notre Dame, but he get here, man, and he bigger than every defensive player on the team. So, like, it was just Brady Quinn was all hype. It was like all gas, no brakes for me, man. So
okay.
Me, like it's every time I say his name, I get mad.
I have to agree with G because this is one of the few players that did make me have to stop watching football. It wasn't because it was my choice. Brady Quinn was so bad, my dad gave up on watching football for that year in 08. So and other things was going on. He had us knocking on doors. You know what I mean? Like for 08 to kind of make something else happen. But yeah, man, Brady Quinn, it wasn't going. It was not going at all. My dad had us down there on 55th and Huff knocking on doors during Browns games because he was not focused on them no more. He found something else to root for.
Like, you couldn't even squint hard. You couldn't like he wasn't. I'm just like, I remember watching a Kansas City Chiefs game when Jerome Harrison had like 400 yards rushing. And I'm like, man, and we still lost that game too.
I think Josh Cribbs had a game where he returned like two kicks, a kick return and a punt return for touchdown. We still lost.
Yeah, because Brady Quinn was out there running around looking
like. What that against Kansas City?
Yep.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
All right, let's go ahead to the next guy on this list. So we've gotten through Brady Quinn. Oh man, my favorite, y'all favorite, Colt McCoy. 21 starts. This lasted way too long. 21 starts for Colt McCoy in his NFL career. He was 6-15, his record, 21 touchdowns, 20 interceptions, 3 touchdown percentage, a touchdown percentage of 3, a interception percentage of 2.8. Averaged 3,108 yards per 17 games, a 42% success percentage.
Normal bad. And the reason I say normal bad is Colt McCoy is he's a perfectly fine backup quarterback. You know what he's gonna give you. He's not gonna rock the boat. He's a nice kid. The problem is we just tried to make him be something he wasn't so bad. Like, you just kept talking about his family is such a great family. Listen, this ain't Dynasty. It's not a soap opera, bro. This man needs to play quarterback. And then they put him out there against the Steelers, who at the time just had a way of just taking careers. Like, I think they knocked him.
They used to tear his little ass up. Oh my goodness.
He was just like, I'm straight.
James Harrison loved him.
Oh my gosh.
What about you, Earl? Where you at with Colt?
So I'm gonna be honest with y'all, man. I was a Colt McCoy fan. I really feel like coming out of Texas, I thought he had the opportunity to be a franchise quarterback. He suffered that shoulder injury, and I think it was like some serious nerve damage or whatever the case may be. And he never really returned to like full capacity. For me, I got him. I'm gonna say normal bad because I do think he was good. But I'm gonna say normal bad. I think he could have been better. I wonder what he would have been if he didn't suffer that injury. Like I know like Quincy be ragging on him, man. But like when I seen him beat Tom Brady. I seen him beat Tom Brady in the New England Patriots. And remember, this was at the height at the dynasty. So
they had the same. We played the Saints that year. We played the Jets that year, and we played the Patriots that year. And that was the game where we thought we had something. Man,
listen, that was the real number 12 to me. You can tell me nothing.
I will give Colt McCoy this credit. This is what we found out that Tony Grossi hates them short quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. Like this is the first dude that exposed that one because he was out there like he's short. Okay, like he's small every week. I remember this is back when you could get the ESPN 850. You remember like the little download clips? You could, like,
man.
listen
That's how I used to listen to it too.
Yeah, I used to listen to 3 Deep like that, right? Every time Tony Gross would be on the really big show, he's short. He's small.
Man.
he has no arm strength.
Y'all messed up 3 Deep, man. What happened to that, man? That was a decent show back in the day.
I think they're still doing it. I think they are. But it's still like
they didn't switch the people around. So shout out to Emmett and Gerard, by the way.
Yeah, it's Emmett and Gerard still out there. I don't know if the third man is still there, but you know what I mean. Big shout to the OGs. You know, I ain't got no beef with them. I'll begrudgingly put him. I'll begrudgingly put him in normal.
I do it.
Yeah, I want to put him in there. All right, man. Go rewatch them games and tell me you really try to see Colt McCoy out there be normal, man. I'm good on all of that. All right, man. Let's talk about Brandon Weeden. Let's talk about Brandon Weeden. Because look, this is the first quarterback that they drafted that I believed in. Like I believed in this dude. Man, I watched Oklahoma State that year. I remember because I was playing NCAA football. Road to Glory, and Oklahoma State had the cold uniforms. They had the matte black helmets. They had the orange joints. They had all the different colorways. And then like it was just recently that you got the "I'm a man, I'm 40" thing from Mike Gundy. So I was like, that's kind of cool.
You had Dez Bryant.
Yeah, with Dez, and then they had what's his name? He was supposed to be one of the best. No, you remember what I'm talking about? Justin Blackman. Yeah, they had Justin Blackman, who was supposed to be that dude coming out of college. Look, I was excited about Brandon Weeden. I was like, you know what? I saw him beat Andrew Luck. Right? Like, and what I deemed as the real national championship game, because I didn't believe Alabama LSU deserved to go back at it again. I thought Oklahoma State should have got their chance in there. Barry Sanders' son was about to go to Oklahoma State during that time. It was a good time. You know, I was rocking with Oklahoma State at that point. Brandon Weeden, I think we both in agreement. Yeah. Maybe stop watching football. All right. Brian Hoyer.
Okay. He was doing the Mr. Hero joints. At a time, I thought Brian Hoyer could have been. I think there was one year where him and Mike Patton, there was 7-3. They went to Cincinnati, beat the Bengals, and it was the end of October, and the Browns was in first place in the AFC North. Wheels fell off that one. Eventually, remember Josh Gordon comes back. They put him back in the lineup. It's an issue. You got dudes calling back on the sideline, telling them to put Johnny Manziel in. I'm gonna go with that. He is not as good, but he cool with me.
Yeah, I think he was the best, not good, but cool with me because he did it multiple times, right?
Yeah.
14, he had a nice little run, and then 15 is when they went 7-3, and then Josh Gordon came back against Atlanta. They won that game.
Yeah.
They were in first place in November, and then it all fell apart.
Wheels came all smooth off.
Yeah, man.
Off the wagon.
They got impatient. They wanted to play Johnny. But yeah, man, like Brian Hoyer held it down. I'll never be upset when I see Brian Hoyer, just to get his stats out there. Yeah. He did have a 10-6 record as a Cleveland Brown in 16 starts, 17 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, 3.2% touchdown percentage, 33% interception percentage per 17 games, 3,941 yards, 41.8% success percentage. I think those are solid numbers.
And you know, he has some stuff. He had that nice comeback win, the biggest comeback win I think in history against the Tennessee Titans at the time. I also think that if he doesn't get injured the year before, he gets injured against Buffalo on a Thursday night or a Monday. Yeah. If he doesn't, I thought he was trending in a direction where he could have been possibly a starter if he was able to put that together. But the injury, I think, set him back, and then the whole Manziel thing happened. So you know how that went.
Yeah, and then we lost Kyle Shanahan.
Right.
That's the only reason that Brian Hoyer thing was working too. Let's talk about DeShone Kizer.
Oh wow,
15 starts, no wins. 11 touchdowns, 22 interceptions. 2.3% touchdown percentage, 4.6% interception percentage. per 17 games, 2,910 yards per 17 games. The lowest success percentage of any Cleveland Browns quarterback. I believe this even beats out Tim Couch, who had a 38. And who else? With Brady Quinn at a 35. Brandon Weeden, 38. And then Deshaun, we're going to talk about him, but he's not as low as Kizer. 34.2% success percentage. Yeah. Yeah, I got him, and every time I say his name, I get mad. But I feel like you're going to say, maybe stop watching football. I cannot say that because I was watching football. I watched all of these games.
His production has made me want to stop watching football. But here's the bad thing. I think he could have been normal bad if he would have just not had Hugh Jackson and been forced to play. Like, I think, if you go back and watch some of his good stuff at Notre Dame, like, he had the skill set, he had a cannon for an arm. His decision making was just some of the worst I've ever seen. So I wasn't mad at it. Every time I see his name, I get a little bit upset because it reminds me of them terrible jerseys. and
that we was rocking. Don't ever bring them back. Ever. All right, Baker Mayfield, obviously going to be in starter here.
Obviously.
59 starts, 29 wins, 30 losses in his Browns career, 92 touchdowns, 56 interceptions, 4.8% touchdown percentage, 2.9 interception percentage, 4,002 yards per 17 games, 45.5% success percentage. It's funny because, like, if you look at like what Jacoby and what Jameis and what Joe Flacco have been able to do, it's like, oh, our life has changed a little bit because we have not gone back to like the crazy bad quarterbacks. Right. Well, we could have a conversation about what one certain quarterback was doing in 2024. But we certainly have not surpassed some of the highs that Baker has had.
Yeah. So he's definitely a starter.
Yeah, tough to put him in franchise because he didn't end up being the franchise quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, and we're ranking them for what they did on the Cleveland Browns. He might end up being like, I think like a quasi-franchise guy for the Buccaneers, like somebody who can stick around for a while. But I think part of being a franchise guy, you got to have legitimate Super Bowl hopes just because you got that dude at quarterback, right? And that might not be the case for Baker, but it's still a really solid player. I mean, like I always contend, he's not a bust at number one overall. He's just underwhelming or over, like he was drafted a little early, right? But you get a guy who could start in the league for as many seasons as he did in the first round. I mean, most teams gonna call that a win. And the thing about Baker is he started this is 8th season as a starter. Got to give it to him. I feel like if you have an elite team, I think Baker could possibly win a Super Bowl. And what I mean elite is like, we got studs at receiver. We got a great offensive line, and the biggest part is we got an elite play caller or coach. And if you got I think he can win a Super Bowl. The issue with Baker and quarterbacks like Baker is the inconsistency. I don't think you can win a Super Bowl no matter how talented you are around him with a quarterback that's this inconsistent, because you got to win 4 in a row to get to a Super Bowl. And odds are Bank's going to give you a bad game in one of them 4.
Yeah,
and that's going to be the problem, right? That it's played much better quarterbacks than Baker Mayfield. This is why Peyton Manning wasn't a consistent Super Bowl winner, because he would always have that one funky ass game in the playoffs, right?
Donovan McNabb
right now with Lamar Jackson, where like it's hard for him to string 4 together in the playoffs. Like the consistency part of this, I think, is what keeps him from having playoff success. But if you start Baker Mayfield and you have a solid team around him, you're not gonna stink. Like for sure, you're not gonna stink. He's proven that. All right, man. Ooh, Deshaun Watson. But look, there were times where we had hope with him, but he crashed out so poorly in 2024.
He almost is. Look, he could have been just before, like it's almost like you want to do before the season.
Yeah,
Before the season
we would have threw him in starter or something.
You'd have put him in starter, but after the season, he's almost gone. He's teetering between normal bad, and every time I hear his name and say his name, I get mad. And have you seen anything like that? Because really, he went from he started in franchise, and now
he was legitimately like, if we're doing this ranking for the Texans, he is franchise, right? Like,
yes,
because of his work in Houston, because that didn't happen in Cleveland. But man, like to fall from that to being in every time I say his name, I get mad.
I mean, because here's the thing: when you say every time I hear his name, I get mad. It's a true statement, because why do you think when we talked about, we just did the worst seasons before Jameis Winston got in, everybody was saying this was one of the most disappointing seasons, one of the seasons I hated the most. And a lot of it had to do with the expectation level that the Cleveland Browns had in the roster and the expectations we had as a Super Bowl contender to being 1-7. And so by the time he was done, that's how you get the boos, because it wasn't normal bad. Like if you think about it, normal bad is, now think about it. Tim Couch got booed too. He's in normal bad. You got to go down to Kizer's in this list for every time I hear his name, and Charlie Frye.
I think there's some people who might say, like, because like I think a lot of people legitimately stopped watching the Browns, but I don't know if that had 100% to do with Deshaun's play. I mean, 2024, you got an argument there for his play being that bad. But yeah, I would say that's where I would put Deshaun. It's a tough fall off. I think the steepest fall off for any athlete in recent memory. G, thank you for coming down and doing this ranking. That is our tier list.
Appreciate you guys agree with it? Let us know if you agree with it. We need these comments to jump off. Give me your tier list. We'll go ahead and get that off.
If I know the internet well, then somebody don't agree with it, and they're going to let us know for sure.